LCS is the agency that handles emergency response, preparedness, mitigation. Listos California aims to get preparedness information to our most vulnerable communities in California.
We know that the impact of community is great, and what's even greater is the impact on diverse and vulnerable populations. Communities that for far too long have been put out, shut out, or not included for whatever reason. And our job is to come in and work with partners to help invest the right resources, provide accessible information, and support with community-based organizations to be able to bring those communities into the fold. Make preparedness not this foreign, secondary thing that communities don't have time for.
We do have a partnership with Listos California where we help people learn about how to be prepared for an emergency, such as an earthquake and of course now a pandemic. It's kind of interesting that when we had a partnership with them, we go into a nationwide emergency.
When this started originally, we had blue skies. It was pre-COVID, pre-fires, and the concept was let's help all Californians get ahead of the unfortunate disasters that California sometimes struggles with, like fires. And we want to make sure nobody gets left behind because at the end of the day, every single person, regardless of your socioeconomic status, regardless of race, anything, your job, it doesn't matter. We all want to be safe and prepared.
If there's one thing that can be said about our country at this time after COVID-19 and ensuing shelter in place and economic downturns, it's that it didn't affect everybody equally. There are certain segments of our society that were disproportionately affected, not just themselves, but their households. And so we want to make sure that we're doing our part to make sure that we address those inequalities.
A big part of what we're doing is launching the Listos Farm Worker Guide. And that guide is full of all kinds of materials and information and helpful hints about not just COVID-19, but about being ready for a disaster or an emergency in general. We think that that guide is going to be a really great tool for farm workers.
This whole event today was made possible because United Way recognized that our message and our materials were not reaching those communities that came from an oral tradition. This was a great product, but we had to make sure that we included materials and connection to indigenous communities and be sure that we reach the Hmong and Punjabi communities.
We basically identified what languages our farm workers speak, the ones that are most prevalent in farms and fields throughout the valley, the 8 counties of the valley here. Beyond just Spanish, we looked at indigenous languages. So listening to an audio file from somebody who doesn't just speak their language, but actually it looks like, sounds like, cares about, transferring that information to them in a meaningful way.
But remember, we can't maybe shake hands, we can't fist bump, maybe we're giving that little elbow. I want you to remember that when we have our 3,000 to 5,000 farm workers going through, that you're making sure that you engage them.
Listos California and our partners at United Way and countless other CBOs who are here today, as you can see behind me, are working to educate farm workers on the resources that they need to stay safe and healthy on COVID-19, disasters like wildfire and other threats that can impact them. They're also coming through a line where they're getting food and they're getting information on the census and they're getting information on services provided by our colleagues across the Newsom administration and other support systems that exist here in the Central Valley.
Our goal is to have a state where everyone has preparedness information available to them, and we encourage everybody to connect with their counties, with their cities, with their community organizations, with individuals and people who they can partner with to get preparedness resources and to have a more resilient and prepared California.
We really just want to celebrate them. I mean, more than anything, this is a way for us to show appreciation and gratitude for all the hard work that they've done this season through some really difficult circumstances.